a good time to bring in like, is it better to be sober?
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to start this off with my opinion, or do you want to go?
Yeah, you can say it.
I was gonna say, if someone came up to me and said, would you stay sober your whole life? I'd say no. Like, I think, in my opinion, that's just ridiculous. Like, why would you limit yourself to these experiences that you may be able to have, but you don't even know what they'll be with alcohol at night. Anything can happen. Like, if you've been drunk, sometimes things get wild. Whether that be with friends, randomers. Like, I've had some of the craziest stories when I'm drunk with complete strangers, and I would never have had them if I was sober.
Yeah,
Never,
no,
ever,
same.
ever. Because I wouldn't even be in that situation, even in that club. And it's what sort of it almost brings those sort of experiences, like you were saying before, those negative experiences. Now I know what to do and what not to do when drunk. You always learn even when you're drunk, you're always learning. You don't have to be sober to learn. You know what I mean? So you can still have these negative and positive experience and learn from both of them, but majority of the time negative. I know never to mix my drinks a lot, otherwise I'll throw up and black out. Like, that's a negative you avoid. But going
Yeah,
back to the question, no, I don't think. I think if you stay sober your whole life, you're missing out on a huge chunk of experiences that you'd regret if you ever tasted a bit of alcohol. Like, if I got to the age of 40 and I started drinking, I'd be I'd be very disappointed in myself. I'd have that big feeling of regret because I know that in my younger years I would missed out on having fun with friends, and just like I said, having these experiences at a younger age that the
yeah,
majority of people do. And to be honest, are life changing. Like, my life has changed because of not being sober.
yeah. No, I agree. I think labeling it as complete evil is it's just it's single-minded. Like it's more like of a scared attitude because obviously things things in moderation can be beneficial, and even just because things can be dangerous doesn't mean that they inherently are at every opportunity. Like you said, experiencing things is really important. I can't imagine like see I say this so there's a few things that I like in the world which are like beyond the line. So for example, like heroin, right?
Yeah.
The risks outweigh the rewards.
Mhm.
But when I was just gonna say, like, I don't want to be on my deathbed and be like, I didn't try this, I didn't do this, I don't know what it's like to be on this. Because wouldn't that be so sad? Like, you only got one go at life.
Yeah.
Are you really gonna like deprive yourself of all these experiences and be sat wondering what it's like on your deathbed instead of being like, fuck, that was awful, but at least it didn't really have an impact.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And hopefully you can say that about things because you don't know, like, that's part of it. But I feel like that sort of feeds into our lifestyle, like live fast, die young. People would rather have like an exciting and fulfilling life that finishes earlier than a life where they live longer but don't have such interesting like contents within their life.
I agree. Yeah. I'd much rather die at the age, let's just say, like 60, but I've lived probably like more experiences on who's lived 100. If we're comparing that, I'd much rather
Yeah.
live a fulfilling life. That's what it is. We're living
No, I
a
fully
more
agree.
fulfilled life because, in my eyes, a fulfilling life is experiencing as much of the world, experience wise, that you can, whether that be drugs or alcohol, whether that be people.
Oh,
Like, there's so many different umbrella terms that you could dive
yeah, no,
into.
I agree.
And this, like,
I agree.
drugs and alcohol, is just one of them. But I think limiting drugs and alcohol almost is like near the top because it opens up a whole other avenue of experiences that you'd never get if you were sober.